Hey guys, here at osmvdxreviews.com. We're taking a retro review at the RCA Ebook Reader. This is one of the earliest ebook readers to ever been released in the United States, and it came at a pretty hefty price tag of $300. For the money, it had a ebook reader with a 5.5-inch TFT touchscreen display. This is a traditional LCD screen, however, which means that unlike e-ink, it doesn't have as high of a contrast rate between black and white. In addition, the battery life was also a lot more poor, and you had to recharge this thing about every 3 days if you did a lot of moderate reading on the product. Otherwise, it's still a pretty modern ebook reader, even in today's standards. It has, again, that touch-sensitive display, and of course, since this is a LCD, it has a nice backlight when the device is turned on, which you can also adjust and turn off if you want to read in brighter conditions. The size of the device is fairly adequate, and it weighs around 18 ounces, which is heavy in today's standards, but as you can see on the right-hand side, it's fairly slim, about the same size as its average 7-inch tablet. But on the left-hand side, you can see that the device is quite thick, and that's because it has this protrusion on the edge, which allows you to hold the device more comfortably using one hand only. Otherwise, the device is a fusion between soft-touch materials and plastics, and it feels pretty good in the hand overall in terms of construction and feel. The top of the device has 2 buttons, which are corresponding to the screen orientation flip button and also the ebook store button. Below the screen itself, we also have 3 more keys that take us to our library and settings. We also have a currently reading menu key, and also we have an MP3 audiobook button. The left hand has 2 keys that basically act as the page up and page down keys to flip our pages when we're reading books. The left-hand side doesn't have anything, but on the bottom we do have a flap for a 3.5mm headphone jack for listening to music and audiobooks. Unfortunately, this feature of music and audiobooks was never fully released by RCA, although they promised an update in the future. It was never really delivered. On the right-hand side of the device, we have a power on and off button. We also have a memory extension slot, which is pretty useful, especially if you plan on using this device to download more books, because natively it only has around 8 to 16 megabytes of memory, which can only fit around 20 full-length ebooks, which isn't that much, especially if you plan on reading a lot of books with the product. On the top, we have a full-size stylus, which is pretty comfortable and easy to use. It's a nice size, and in case you don't want to use your finger to touch the touchscreen, you can always use the stylus. The very top houses the AC power adapter for charging the built-in lithium-ion battery. We also have a USB port and an Ethernet port because unfortunately this product does not have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So in order to connect this thing to the internet, in order to download books using the built-in bookstore, you had to connect it to the Ethernet or a LAN phone line. So to power anything on, you can see that it has a very bright backlight, which is great for night reading if you want to do that in bed or on a darker environment such as on an airplane. If we do something like we press on the menu key here, we can also press settings and change the backlight. So we can set it to 60%. We can turn the backlight off to 20%, 40%, 80%, and of course we can turn it to 100%. Let's just get done with that right now. I'm going to show you the first button here, which allows us to rotate the screen, and you can see that I can change it in 4 different directions. It's quite easy to do, and changing in this direction allows me to hold the device using my right hand instead of using my left hand. I think this is actually a more ergonomical way of using it because statistics show that more people are right-handed rather than left-handed, so if they did this, it would be a little more easier for right-handed people to use because then they can control with their right hand instead of using their left hand to change pages when they're reading an ebook. Pressing this button again, let's just change it back to the traditional view. And you can see that the center key allows us to, I'm going to change it to a horizontal view so you can see that it works like this. But anyways, the center key allows us to use this device to calibrate the touchscreen instead in case you think it's getting finicky. So pressing on the center, I can then tap on the screen to calibrate its sensitivity. And alert will not be successful. Please try again because I wasn't very accurate with the touchscreen. I can press it again, and now it's a lot better. So I calibrated the touchscreen. Down below here, I'm going to show you this menu key again. It takes me through a list of my most recently read books. For example, there's world literature, drama, and poetry, current fiction, Around the World in 80 Days. These are all current books that I've been taking a look at. So if I want to press Around the World in 80 Days, it's going to load to the current page I was reading at. It does a great job of saving where you were, so it bookmarks your page automatically. I can turn the device off. I I can turn it back on again, and it's going to show me the same page. I can flip pages again by going up and down, and it's pretty fast and responsive. You can see that page turns don't have an annoying flicking to them, because unlike e-ink screens, it doesn't need to refresh the page just to turn and change text, which is a great feature of LCD screens. So let's say we want to, check out something or change the font and stuff. You can obviously press on the menu key by going to the button on the left-hand side here. That's going to bring up more stuff like lookup stuff. For instance, we have a word we don't know, like perhaps expedient, and it's going to bring up our Random House Webster's dictionary. It has a built-in electronic dictionary on here that doesn't have to be connected to the internet, and it automatically searches basically all the common words. For example, expedient means fit or suitable for a purpose, and it's a pretty useful tool to have. Another function is underlining text. For example, if I wanted to underline these areas, I can underline them so that when I'm reading through it, I want to come back to this part, I can edit it quickly. I can add a note, which you can see it brings up a physical QWERTY keyboard, which although it isn't as comfortable as a large one, you do have to use your stylus. It's nice that it's built in. Like for example, this is a test, so it's fairly accurate. You can see it's not too bad, and I can add that there, and I can attach note, select the location. I'm going to select it here, idea. So now I can underline this text, press this little box, and it knows where I want to see the note in the future. I can also move this, edit it, and delete it. Other features including setting additional bookmarks going to specific pages, for example, the first page of the book, like so. And you can check out more information about the edition of the book, number of notes and bookmarks that you have on the book, and that's pretty much most of the features that you would really want to do or know. Tapping on the right-hand side, this is more traditional menu. Again, tapping and flipping between your commonly used and open books. I can also take a look at my ebook shelf, online bookshelf, and there's more specific settings here, like I showed you, for adjusting the contrast, the backlight. I can also change the print from being larger to smaller. So now you can see that the text is going to be a lot smaller in terms of reading experience. If I wanted to change it to large print, all I have to do is change it again. So it's easy to change back and forth between different font sizes, which is a nice feature to have. That's pretty much it between settings. I can also change my modem. I can set a password for this device so I can lock it in case I don't want someone else reading my books. And that's it for settings. So looking at my ebook shelf, you can see that you don't have to just read books with this product. You can also use it to read newsstands, catalogs, and order forms. So you can also download newspapers and periodicals, and it will read them just fine, such as New York Times works very well on this product, which was something nice to take a look at. I can look at the books I currently have, like a dictionary, Around the World in 80 Days, and then I can open it. Overall, it works pretty nicely. It's surprisingly responsive and fast. Now, one complaint I did have was sometimes the menu navigation is a little bit clustered because you're going through multiple layers of menus and menus. It's reminiscent of a Windows CE operating system in that it's not very clean, and you have a lot of complex layers within the layer. So that can be confusing for a first-time ebook reader. It's not the most simplistic experience out there. So let's get out of that. Pressing the ebook store is also pretty easy to do. Just press this button on the top. That's going to just take us to our ebook store. Touch a menu to assign it, for example that. And this also doubles not just as an ebook store icon, but it also dubs as a menu that you can actually adjust and select for different applications. So you can select different books. So whenever you press that key, it's automatically going to take you to a function that you preset, which is pretty nice as well. So let's look at order forms. And order forms is pretty much just the online application where you can purchase ebooks, and you have to have an Ethernet connection. This is just going off of what I've had before on this product. And you can actually see that there are common books here. Right now I ordered a few books by saying add to my cart, and the next time I connect it to the internet, it's going to automatically purchase these and download them. Downloading books are kind of slow, as you might expect, because it's over Ethernet. It takes around 2 to 3 minutes just to fully download a book. But the biggest complaint I've had about the RCA Ebook Reader is that the books are super expensive. There aren't, too many cheap books. Like you see that Hellenica is a rather inexpensive book by costing only $1.99. But you can see that Other books, and most commonly used books, are going to cost around $8 to $10. And at that price, I think I would rather get a hard copy instead of getting an e-copy, because it costs around the same price, and I always prefer a physical experience to an electronic one. Unless, of course, you plan on carrying, a dozen or more books with you, then you have something like this because it weighs a lot less. Anyways, I'm going to close that up. I'm going to check out some other ebook experiences. You can see that there are more book experiences you can take a look at by going up and down through this menu. And for example, there are other books you can see the author name, the title of the book, the time it takes to download this book. For example, this one takes 2 minutes, and so it's pretty nice. It also shows you your listing price, which is the price you would pay for buying a physical hard copy of the book. For example, The Way to Bright Star costs $6.99 in stores, but you can get it on ebook version for $5.50. Again, the difference is just really minimal, and for an ebook version, I really expect the price to be a lot lower, and that's something we're seeing a lot more of in modern ebook readers as opposed to this. Because, for example, if you take something like the Barnes & Noble Nook Color, books are still fairly expensive, but they are, the difference between the prices are going to be a little bit more than just $1 or $2. So anyways, you can go to different sizes, a font, and then check out different books. And if you like something, you can add it to your catalog or add it to the order, and then you would press that, press order, add it to the order cart, and then I will download that or buy it the next time. Taking a look at the online bookshelves, let's check a look at all text, but right now it's going to have to dial this code just to access that. Unfortunately, I don't have an internet connection, so it's not going to work for me. And so, in terms of downloading stuff, it works. It doesn't give you too much information. It doesn't give you a summary of the book. It doesn't give you an excerpt of the book. It just tells you the book cover, the author, the publisher, the price, the listing price, and the time it takes to download it. So it's still fairly intuitive, just I would have liked to see a little bit more. Now, the last feature that I wanted to kind of fixate on was actually the quote audiobook feature. I told you that it actually doesn't work, and that's true, because the MP3 key here, if you just press it, it just says this feature is coming to you in the future, but unfortunately it is not here at the moment, and this has been there for the last, 8 years, so it hasn't been updated at all by RCA, so that's just unfortunate. Overall, the RCA ebook reader is, again, a stepping stone in terms of electronic ebook readers in the US, because it's really paved the way for a lot of ebook readers gaining popularity, and I think it still is a pretty decent e-reading experience. Of course, if you are planning on looking at something like this, it's going to cost a lot less because it's used and it's more of an antique device. It's going to cost only around $30, $40 new if you get it on eBay and such. But again, be warned that it doesn't have the best experience in terms of battery life, nor does it have the cheapest catalog. And other thing I wanted to warn you of was, if you plan on using this as something you want to sideload documents onto, it doesn't actually read Microsoft Word or Adobe content. So you have to use exclusive copyrighted material that's designed by RCA to work with this reader. So it isn't very open. It can't display text documents. You can't load anything on here that isn't supported by this, and it's not going to read it. But otherwise, most Barnes & Noble files, ebook files, will work with this product, but again, it's fairly limited in that aspect. So thanks for watching our retro review of the RCA ebook reader here at os and vtxreviews.com. This is a very interesting look back in time.